Just real quick, guys, before we proceed to lighting, I wanted to show you a little thing that I totally forgot to include in the last video, but that's okay because it was really long. We were set to render options, which is a bunch of settings here about the the predefined information that's embedded into the rendering. But if you go to this little tab in the bottom left, it's all the way down there. It says camera, and I believe you guys might have actually defaulted to camera to start it. Hey, look at that. We got enough sampling levels. Oh, that's right. I said I was going to let this run forever, but I set it to a maximum of 10 minutes. Well, it stopped. Anyway, so if you go to camera, you have a lot of default settings that you can modify as well. You can change your ISO and shutter speed here, but I don't know if it's going to refresh this stage. Might not. It might. There you go. So you can change all of those settings here to get different types of imagery, I guess. But just be careful with that, because the more extreme modifications you make, the less real it's going to look. So like if I put both of them up, it's just going to get this really kind of washed out, blasted look to it. I don't know if it's going to update like that. There we go. Well, it doesn't want to update for me. Anyway, something more like that. I forget what my default settings were. I'll just leave it where it is. So you can modify some of the resolution. You can change the profile of coloring and stuff like that. So generally speaking, we're not going to get into too much of this. You can change your color temperature, make it more warm light or cool light. I don't know if that's going to let us modify that. There you go. Cool light. Or you can make it warm light. See? So all that stuff can happen on the post-production side. I kind of like the way it was before. I think I had it at around 6,000. There we go. That's fine. Okay, so we're going to get into lighting here. And lighting is, I think, going to be really exciting to all of you. But it's one of the ones that I think is a little bit misrepresented. And I might have talked a little bit about this before with Maxwell being a physical-based rendering engine. I think I talked a little bit about needing to have, like, what, 100,000 watts of lighting from a single source versus 40, right, and the scale of models. So you just need to be careful. Don't expect a 100-watt bulb to behave exactly like the 100-watt bulbs that you know very well, unless you're doing very well calibrated interior scenes, which generally should not be the goal in an academic setting. So what do we need to do to produce lights? Lights in Maxwell are going to be based off of objects, and objects as emissive materials, meaning we create, like for these lights here, we would actually model a surface into it, and then we would say that that surface is an emissive material. Does that make sense? So we just need to be very careful about where we place these things, because they will cast shadows. You will see them if it's not, if it exists in the camera, like within the range of the camera or the field of the image. So just, I guess, just be very careful about where you're placing them, because it's very easy for it to look hokey when you're just getting started. However, in order to get us started, I'm going to make it a little hokey, just so you can kind of see where they are and how they, how they behave a little bit. So I'm going to create a layer here called lights, and it happens to be this one right here. I don't think I have anything on it. Lights. So I'm going to get into this space pretty specifically here. My design for this space was to have everything more of like this horizontal alignment. So what I'm going to do is just take some of these bumps that I'm seeing on the side. I'm going to create uplights and downlights. I'm just going to put little strip lights on the tops and bottoms. Okay, that's enough for me right now. I guess, what's an easy way to do it? I could probably do it in perspective. Yeah, maybe. All right, let's try it. So I'm going to do 4-point surface. Nah, I won't do a 4-point surface. I'm just going to grab the surface edge if I can. Control Shift. Nope, well, let me get it. Why won't it let me get it? That's weird. All right, I'll just do a 4-point surface. Let's go from there to there to there to there. Okay, I have a surface. It exists right here. Something that's very significant about surfaces in a digital environment and how you set it up in the rendering environment is that they could be physically coincident, which means that they exist in exactly the same space and exactly the same location. So graphically, and you're all familiar with this at this stage in your education, when you move the camera around, you can see that it kind of flutters between, or flickers, I guess, between one surface type and another. Well, if you render that, that's going to show. So every surface that you create needs to be physically non-coincident or separated or moved from another surface. So what I would generally do here is just pick something that's really, really small, like a 1/16 of an inch, so 0.0625 inches, and that's enough to just pop it up and make it, you know, a legitimate surface. Okay, you won't be able to see it from back here where our camera's going to be, but that will work. Yes?
How did you first make that surface?
I just did a 4-point surface.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be perfectly accurate, guys. Remember, I talk about workflow and efficiency and all that stuff. Well, I mean, if you look at this really closely, you notice that a small section or sliver of my light popped through the wall. But I don't care. I don't, because I'm not going to see the light on the other side. It really probably won't affect the rendering because it's almost all fully closed off, you know, so I'm going to leave it. And if it gives me a graphic glitch later, I'll fix it then. Okay, so that's just modeling for rendering. So I'll do a couple more of these. I'm going to drop one back here. Like that. Grab that surface. I'm going to move that up 0.0625 inches. That didn't go enough. Oh, because my surface is crooked. Screwed that up. Yeah, let's just go like that. Okay, so all I'm going to do, I think, at this stage is I'm going to do 2 uplights on the side walls, and I'm going to do 2 downlights. So for me, I guess, as a test here, I'm just going to take those 2, and I'll copy them down. I'll should do it. So this one now is going to exist just a hair below the bottom of this. Just get it pretty close. I'm okay if there are small gaps because we're just testing the quality of lighting here. So don't worry about that too much if you can kind of see it. Yeah, that should be fine there too. Now, I mentioned uplights and downlights. Surfaces have directions in a positive and negative way, right? Are you all familiar with what a surface normal is? Raise your hand if you know what a surface normal is. Okay, not very many of you. So, surface normal is basically the z-axis of the x and y for whatever plane exists in space. So this piece of paper here, right, it has an x-axis and a y-axis, but if I put it in a skewed location somewhere in space, the z-axis of that is its surface normal. Okay, so one of those is positive, one of them is negative, right? Think back to your Cartesian coordinate system. The positive and negative side of the surface is the direction of lighting, and the back side doesn't get any light treatment at all. So in order to see which direction these surfaces are facing, you need to select them and hit this button right here. It's called Analyze Direction. It says it right there. Yeah. So click that, and it's going to show you arrows that define where, where they're facing. So one of them is facing up, one of them is facing down, but these are both of my uplights. I need to make sure they both face up. So you've got a couple options. I select this surface, and I could type in flip. That'll work. And then I analyze the direction. Now it faces up. The other thing you can do is actually go right up here to the top under Analyze Direction, and you can flip it right there. Flip, 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 flip. Okay? That's easier. Just wanted to let you know. All right. So then my downlights. Oh, look at that. You can't even see them from underneath. That's because there's no, I have environmental lighting, and there's no environmental lighting coming from below. So these two surfaces, when I analyze their direction, opposites again. So I'm going to go back to this one that's facing up, and I'm going to, you can also right-click this tool, and that'll flip it down, you know, or that, you know, whatever the case is. Okay. Now, I also am trying to get you all in the habit of utilizing layers for your material application rather than assigning the materials directly to the objects themselves. So, I have uplights and I have downlights. Uplights have very different qualities than downlights do. So, I'm going to put them on two separate layers and create two separate emissive materials for them. So, I'm going to rename this, call it uplights, and I'll create another one for downlights. And I don't think I used orange yet in this one, so the uplights are still on the uplight layer. These two surfaces I'm going to put on the downlight layer. Yeah, still showing white. That's okay. I guess we're about ready. How am I doing on time? Well, all right. So I'm going to stop this video and move directly into actually setting up the lighting materials.